Mario and Luigi, Bowser's Inside Story, always held a special place in my heart. Mostly because of Bowser's wild antics, which never failed to make me smile. And this rings true for the Nintendo 3DS remake too, which remains just as clever and fun even all these years later. Unfortunately, it's a slightly different story when it comes to the new Bowser Jr.'s Journey content. But we'll get to that soon. Bowser's Inside Story easily has my favorite plot in the franchise. After a serious outbreak of the Blorbs, which makes various inhabitants swell to silly proportions, Peach holds a conference to deal with the epidemic. Of course, it's not long before Bowser shows up to crash the party, but only after consuming a mysterious mushroom that reportedly will help him to defeat the Mario Brothers. Sure enough, it does. Well, only if you count uncontrollably inhaling everything within sight as defeating. And thus begins one of Mario and Luigi's strangest adventures yet, in which Mario and Luigi must fight through Bowser's body, dealing with organisms and other enemies that enter the body unwillingly in an effort to locate Princess Peach and get everybody out as soon as possible. The gameplay essentials aren't all that different if you played the previous Mario and Luigi outings on Nintendo 3DS, and Dream Team in particular. This time, the big difference is how the gameplay is split between Bowser and the Mario Brothers. Whereas you explore the overworld as Bowser, he'll often need help of the Mario Brothers who, don't forget, are inside him in order to overcome various obstacles. The bros explore Bowser's massive body from a 2D side-scrolling perspective, lending it an old-school charm. It's filled with enemies, puzzles, and various minigames sprinkled in between, which I found to be paced well. On the flip side, exploring the overworld as Bowser can feel a little slow at first, due to his lumbering nature, though I got used to him over time. The constant shift between the brothers and Bowser is what makes Bowser's Inside Story so special. The Koopa King will do something to get himself in trouble, and Mario and Luigi will have to bail him out. There's something incredibly ironic about that, and keeps the experience endlessly refreshing. A good example is how you encounter the first giant battle, in which Bowser gets squashed by his castle and is left in a critical condition. So the brothers will have to activate his adrenaline, which causes Bowser to grow gigantic and take on the castle single-handedly. In another instance, Bowser gets a tummy ache and pleads for help. Mario and Luigi will have to take on a big worm that is harming the big guy's body. The romp makes for an absolutely stellar and surprising role-playing game that never failed to surprise or engage me. Regardless of who you're controlling, both groups will have to work together in battle to overcome enemies. Mario and Luigi offer up the typical selection of moves, including jumps, hammers, and bros attacks. Those attacks require the two to work together in tandem to put together a strong performance, with precise timing avoiding better results. Equally as entertaining was avoiding the enemy attacks every chance I could, with well-timed jumps or hammer attacks. Bowser, on the other hand, is bulkier, and thus has to deal with bigger threats that don't hold back. Bulky Goombas, weird-looking chain jumps, and more off-the-wall enemies pop up at every turn. Bowser can shoot fire, punch, or crouch to let people get hit by a shell. Instead of bros attacks, the big mean turtle offers up brawl attacks. These make innovative use of the Nintendo 3DS's bottom screen, as you tap on Goombas to engulf them with fire, or pull back on a big Bowser ball by swiping left. You can also swallow up enemies to let Mario and Luigi take them on instead. It's a cool trick that adds surprise to the flow of the battle progression. It makes them feel relevant and part of the bigger tale. From a presentation perspective, the writing and animation for the main cast kills it every time they are on screen. Fawful and Bowser easily have my favorite interactions throughout the game, and make for some absolutely hysterical moments. How Bowser interacts with his minions fits with the character, and he only cares when it truly benefits him. In addition, newcomers like Broke Michelle and Starlo are extremely well written, and make the hours fly by insanely fast. What I can't get over is how well paced Bowser's Inside Story really is. In one moment you have a conversation with Broke Michelle to discuss the art of blocks and giggle at every line he shouts. Almost immediately after, you're thrown into a boss that constantly switches control between the bros and Bowser. It's situations like these that keep the game interesting throughout its 25 hours or so, with the script, gameplay, and overall mechanics working alongside of each other to just make for a brilliant time. When it comes to remakes, sometimes less is more, and just like with the remake of Superstar Saga, Alpha Dream added a brand new side story that tries to increase the package's value. This time in the form of Bowser Jr.'s Journey, in which you play as Bowser Jr. in a story that takes place concurrent to the main game in order to free the castle's minions of the Blorb epidemic. The story itself is fairly entertaining and has you interacting with the Koopalings, for example, who weren't in the original game at all. And just like Superstar Saga, Bowser Jr.'s journey gives you more background information on how certain elements play out, and features some of the same brilliant writing the series is known for. That being said, the gameplay remains an extremely passive affair compared to the main game, as there is very little actual gameplay. There's no overworld to freely explore, with the mode just being a series of battles interspersed with story sequences. And I use the term battles loosely, as all you do is choose a selection of allies to protect Bowser Jr., put them in order, and see how they perform against the enemies without any further input. Sure, there's a special attack that you can activate now and again, but for the rest, you just have to see how things play out. The rock paper scissors mechanics in themselves are fairly neat, but they don't do enough to make Bowser Jr.'s journey anything engaging. The captain abilities, which do give you some agency, leave a lot to be desired. For the majority of the time I just sat there and did absolutely nothing of note. It's just too hands-off to be entertaining. Regardless of which mode you play, Bowser's Inside Story looks fantastic. The environments are a clear improvement over the original, and the character designs stay intact. While I did wish that the characters would emote overall more, I can't deny I was smiling all the way to the end. The gigantic Bowser battles now look similar to the tower battles in Paper Jam, though much more fun. The music is on a similar level to the overall world design, smartly updated to benefit the power of the Nintendo 3DS, and the music still sounds catchy as ever. Should you play Bowser's Inside Story on Nintendo 3DS? Well, that depends on how long ago you've played it last. In some regards, newcomers may find themselves at home quicker, as it features gameplay tweaks from the more recent outings of Mario and Luigi. But that doesn't necessarily mean that this is the superior version. The character's newer version is less expressive, but the timing during battle sequences isn't as restrictive. The original Nintendo DS game was more expressive, but it makes some of the attack patterns rougher to deal with. In the end, you really can't go wrong with either version. At the end of the day, the remake reminded me of how enjoyable Mario & Luigi Bowser's Inside Story is. It's a fantastic game that still deserves the love given so long ago. The plot, gameplay elements and overall design choices are Alpha Dream's best work to date. While the characters lose a bit of charm in the transfer to 3DS, the missteps are small enough to not make a huge dent. Bowser Jr.'s journey, on the other hand, isn't really an improvement over Bowser's minions. It can be fun in tiny doses, but it didn't stop me from being annoyed at how certain scenarios play out. The only thing that is truly better here is the story, which isn't essential, but a good read nonetheless. And I felt pretty meh about the entire mode, but at least it's optional. Bowser's Inside Story on the whole is still something I love. The game remains the refreshing adventure I played about 10 years ago, which is the hallmark of a game that stands the test of time. It's a fantastic reminder of how great the Mario & Luigi RPG can be if done right. Thanks for watching. Be sure to stay subscribed to GameXplain for more on Mario & Luigi and other things gaming too. See you later, bye.